So Realme recently launched this smartphone, the Realme GT Neo 2, and it comes as the company's competitor to premium mid-range offerings like the OnePlus 9R, the Xiaomi Mi 11X or the Vivo X60 Pro. Now, the Realme GT Neo 2 looks great on paper. It has a Snapdragon 870 processor, 120Hz display and more. But is it any good in real life? I'll tell you. Now let's start with the design. Now, in terms of design, the Realme GT Neo 2 has a familiar shape. It's a 6.62-inch flat display with a hole punch camera and a slight chin. While a curved display looks more premium, I prefer this as there are less accidental touches. Now the back panel of the Realme GT Neo 2 has a rather interesting finish. We got this black color for our review and it feels matte when you feel it, but it does shine when you throw light on it. A good panel for both kinds of customers, those who like a gradient finish as well as those who like a rather matte sort of a finish. The camera module is quite chunky and it does make the smartphone wobble on a flat surface. There is very subtle Realme branding with just a small Realme tag on the bottom left corner of the back panel. All in all, it's a safe design, just the camera module is a little bit chunky. Now the display is what I like the most about the Realme GT Neo 2. The display on the smartphone is amazing. There's a 120Hz refresh rate with 600Hz touch response rate that makes the experience super smooth. The adaptive refresh rate also seems to work really good, and the scrolling experience on the Realme GT Neo 2 is super slick. The display is good in terms of resolution and brightness as well. It can play YouTube videos till up to 4K resolution and has a 1300 nits of peak brightness. However, in terms of color accuracy, the display lags a little bit. It's a super smooth and a super bright display, but it's not the best in terms of color accuracy. All in all, it's right up there with the competition in terms of display, if not better. So performance is the focus of the Realme GT Neo 2, and with a Snapdragon 870 processor and up to 12GB of RAM that is further expandable to 19GB, performance is smooth. Like the display, the performance of the Realme GT Neo 2 in terms of speed, in terms of multitasking is absolutely great. The smartphone can run games on maxed out settings, and throughout my usage I used the Realme GT Neo 2 at maximum brightness, locked at 120Hz display, and it showed no signs of slowing down or heating up. Multitasking is not an issue. Even the benchmark scores of the Realme GT Neo 2 are pretty impressive. So while there are no issues with multitasking or the speed of the device, the user experience, the UI, Realme UI is not the best Android scale. It does not make the experience of using Android any easier or smoother. While it has improved quite a bit from the last time I used Realme UI, it's still not as good as say stock Android or some other launches like OnePlus's Oxygen OS. The bloatware still very much exists and there are certain issues with controls here and there. In terms of battery, the Realme GT Neo 2 is again great. There is a 5000 mAh unit that did not disappoint. As I said, I used the smartphone on 120Hz refresh rate at peak brightness during most of my usage and played some battery gulping games like Real Racing 3. But I was still not able to drain the smartphone in less than 24 hours. Now, as impressive as the battery is, the 65W super dart charging is equally good. This smartphone was charged from 7% to 100% in just under 38 minutes according to my test. That's super fast. Now in terms of camera, I'll just say that if you're looking for a good camera smartphone in 30-35,000 rupees, you should look elsewhere. The camera on this smartphone is just average. There is a triple rear camera setup with a 64 megapixel primary shooter, a wide angle lens and a macro shooter. While the primary shooter does put out decent quality crisp images in well lit environments, the wide angle and the macro quality are just disappointing. The camera does take good pictures in portrait mode. The portrait mode does cut out the edges quite nicely, but all in all, it's just an average camera. One more thing that has always annoyed me about Realme cameras is the AI overprocessing, and this smartphone is no different. So that was all my experience with the Realme GT Neo 2. So far the smartphone has impressed me quite a bit and has given me a flagship level experience. Is it worth your money? Most definitely. A Snapdragon 870 with 12GB RAM, 120Hz super slick display and impressive battery with super fast charging are all flagship territory. However, the camera is not good, and Realme UI remains to be a chink in Realme's armor that otherwise makes pretty great smartphones like this one.